Humans are creatures of habits. Although the process of developing habits takes a lot of time, there are some habits that you can adapt so easily if you're determined to go in the right direction. So, in this video, we are going to discuss small habits that are adaptable and they're not going to take you a lot of time. These 12 habits are very effective in the long run if you want to make it to the top financially. So let's start with the first one. Number 1. Audit your spendings every night. An hour or two before you're going to bed, track your expenses and take a look at how much you have spent today. Just audit your expenses. You might realize that you have overspent on food today. That will push you to be more careful next time when you're buying a meal. Or maybe you have spent too much on Uber and you have to minimize your expenses for the next few days so that you don't get into credit card debt at the end of the month. People usually act when it's too late, when they already run out of money, so they are forced to get into debt. But then they repeat the same mistake over and over until they find themselves buried in a lot of debt. Number 2. Don't use cash. The greatest financial habit you can ever develop is tracking your expenses. Because when you know how exactly you're spending your money, it's much easier to change your behavior. If you're spending too much on moving around, next time you will be more careful before taking another unnecessary ride. And the easiest way to track your expenses is to pay with a credit or debit card. Every transaction is recorded on your phone, and you can revisit your transactions every day to see if you're not overspending. And this brings us to the point number 2. Number 3. Budget your expenses. Most people often get carried away when they have enough savings in their bank accounts. They work hard, save money, they might even save for 6 months worth of expenses. And then they go on a vacation. And while they're on vacation, they want to enjoy. They realize they have all that money that they don't need urgently. Why not spend some of it thinking they will get back to work in a week or two and fill it again, right? But they don't. So to avoid overspending or withdrawing from your saving account, always set a strict budget and never leave it no matter what. This is how much you set for a vacation or a dine out this week. That's it. You can't spend more than that. Number 4. Negotiate whenever you can. You can't negotiate when you're in a Walmart, for example, since prices are fixed, and if you don't like it, no one is pushing you to buy anything from there. However, there are plenty of stores where there is room for negotiation. If it's possible to negotiate, always do it, whether you're in a job interview trying to get a higher salary or buying a house. You might put yourself in an uncomfortable position. But imagine for a moment if you get a slightly better deal. If you get a 5 or 10% raise, that extra 5 or 10% means now you can save more money. And if you count the opportunity cost, which means how much that extra 5 to 10% is going to be worth in a long run, then you just saved yourself a fortune. Especially if you're buying a house. Whenever you buy something really expensive like a house that cost $1 million, for example 20, 30, or even $50K, do not seem much in comparison. But if you drive the price down by $30K, for example, that's equivalent to someone just handing you $30K, you just saved yourself a few months of work. Number 5. Automate your investments. If you're not into investing on your job is not directly related to the stock market or real estate, you probably don't have time to analyze companies, look for real estate deals, or follow up the financial news. You can't always look for the next opportunity, and you don't simply want to keep your savings in cash because you might end up spending them. So choose a few stocks or maybe one index fund, and dollar cost average, which means every week or month. Just invest in that stock without analyzing a new company every time you invest. Just invest every week. You will hit the top and the bottom, so you will dollar cost average at the end of the day. And you aren't going to waste your time looking for opportunities, which means you will finally start investing, instead of just watching how others are investing. Number 6. Always check the lower shelves. Hypermarkets or stores, in general, have long ago analyzed your height and carefully placed the most expensive items at your eye level so that you come across them first. If you take a look at the lower levels, prices are a bit cheaper because that's where they place the most affordable items, since they know that most people aren't going to look at them. But you can outsmart them by taking a moment and checking what's down there. Usually the products aren't much different from the ones on the top. Eye-level shelves at stores usually cost fortunes, and the companies who are willing to pay that much usually includes that cost in the price of that product. So you're basically paying for not looking down. Number 7. Don't brag about how much money you make. People have the tendency to expect more from people who make more money. If you get them a little small present on their birthday, they won't like you, but if they think that you're not a rich dude and you're barely making ends meet, then they will be happy that you even got them that little gift. That the reality, no matter how harsh it may sound, when you're rich, people expect more from you. It's like when a billionaire donates $100 million. People still criticize him, saying that's peanuts for him. He makes much more than that. Well, who cares how much he makes? He donated more money than you will be able, even if it's a tiny fraction of his wealth. Number 8. Surround yourself with like-minded people. It is very difficult to live frugally, trying to get financially free as soon as possible when your friends enjoy expensive meals, expensive vacations, and $5 coffees. Sometimes you even wonder whether it's worth saving all that money. So in order to keep yourself motivated, surround yourself with people with similar goals. Join the free movement on Reddit. Join the chat rooms. Share with each other different tools and techniques you use to save money. It really helps to know that you're not alone in this journey. You're not the only one who is struggling now to be financially free later. In the process, you're going to learn so much that you will cut your journey by a milestone. Number 9. Avoid cheap shoes. This might sound a bit controversial because we talk about saving money and being frugal. And yet, this is one of the habits that will benefit you a lot in longer run. So never buy another pair of cheap shoes or in fact clothes. What does cheap or expensive mean? If you buy a pair of cheap shoes that are going to last you in a month or two, then actually that is expensive and was a waste of money. But if you spend slightly more and those shoes will last you a few years, that's the ultimate way to save money. Whenever you buy clothes or shoes, ask yourself, how long will this pair of shoes or this shirt is going to last me? Number 10. Avoid your local grocery store. Yes, your local grocery store is comfortable to get to. You don't have to walk anywhere far, it's convenient, and you pass through the store every day. But groceries are slightly more expensive there than in hypermarkets. That might not seem a lot, but over time, they add up and turn into a decent amount of money. So go to the nearest hypermarket and buy the stuff you need for the next month at last. If you turn it into a habit, you're going to save a fortune in the long run. Number 11. Cut back on sweets. The worst habit you can ever develop is eating a lot of sweets. They are expensive, and they damage your health. It's okay to have some time to time, but try to cut on them as much as you can. You have no idea how much you're going to save if you can cut back on sweets. And most importantly, you're going to save a fortune on medical bills as well. Number 12. And finally, think twice before paying. This is one of the best habits you can ever develop. You buy something and then a few minutes or hours later, you would ask yourself, why on earth did I buy that? I don't need it. I just wasted money. It happens to all of us. So think for a minute before paying for something, even if it's something you wanted to buy for a long time. Ask yourself, do I really need that, or I just want to spend more money? And the answer is quite often the latter. Try it, but do not be biased. Try to think about it independently. Thanks for watching, and until next one.